I don't think that anyone should go in debt to chase their dream home. That's not what I'm saying whatsoever. But the amount of emotional pain and emotional toll you might have by saving 10% on your project, it's probably not worth it from what I've seen and the stories I've heard from the homeowners that we come in after.
Patrick, welcome. Thank you for joining me in this conversation. I'm looking forward to it. But first of all, this is probably the hardest question. Tell me who you are and a little bit about yourself.
That actually is a hard question because if we're developing, we should always be changing. But, my name is Patrick Robertson. I do residential remodeling up here in New York. A little bit about me. So that's my career side. Been doing this since I was a baby under my father's company, then opening up my own company, Momentous Building. I love getting outside in nature, going for hikes. I love being outside. I love getting in the gym, working out. Taking care of my health is a priority to me. And when I have time, spending it with the family. So that's a really surface level of who I am.
That's cool, man. So yeah, I was reading over some of the things that you sent to me prior to this conversation. What really struck me was how the quality of what you do. It seems like you're really focused on quality, right? You're not looking
Yeah.
for something that's a quick fix or that just gets the job done. It's a chair for now, but in 10 years it won't be a chair. It'll be firewood. So, could you just explain to me where that comes from and why do you have that sort of ethos?
Yeah, I don't know where it comes from, to be honest. I think it's self-created because I think once we go down that track of learning what we can actually do, we start to enjoy the pursuit of perfection, right? Perfection's never going to be achieved, but we start to really honor and enjoy those finer details where most people they overlook or they don't care for, but then we can look at that and be like, the amount of time and the artistry it takes to do those smaller details, right? And on top of that, you also learn it's a reflection of your mindset and what you care about, right? So in remodeling, if we see a bunch of paint drips or things like that, we know a guy was rushing through it, that he didn't actually take this work on as his own, and he kind of just saw it as another job and another paycheck. So it says a lot about your character as well when you see that excellent quality and that high end work.
Cool. So you really do you approach all your stuff with a spirit of excellence, you would say?
Yeah, yeah. I mean, that's one of our core values as a company. And great example today, we did a really small job helping out, just painting some posts for a second story deck, right? So really easy job. So we're repainting it, and I noticed that there was paint on the underside of the deck after. My first phone call, sent pictures to my foreman painter, and I was like, hey guys, you do a fantastic job. What's going on here? This is not normal. And he's like, Patrick, it's the previous painter. I scraped it for an hour, check X, Y, Z. You know, I can go there and sand it all down, but, it's going to be hours of work. So even those little details, right? Those are the things that I look for as managing the projects and also throughout life that those details matter, right? First glance, you don't see them. When you get closer, you kind of just see how lazy it is.
Hmm. That's cool. Um, so yeah, man. What sort of brought you? What made you want to hop on this call with me here? What do you think? I guess my bigger question here is what unique perspective you want to bring here to this conversation, so we can dive in a little bit deeper.
Yeah, there are so many different things that we can dive into regarding home remodeling construction. A lot of, homeowners, what I see, because, when you start to go towards the excellent range and you start to really chase that perfection, right? You get away from the cheap work because the cheap work has a lot of problems with it. And we see a lot of customers, price shopping around for different contractors. And for the majority of it, if you find a contractor that's 20% cheaper, it's because they're delivering less. And I think that's a real understanding that has to be um, transferred to many homeowners or anyone looking to get involved in construction, whether it's the quality of work, the management, your customer service, and your experience. Those are all different areas where, as a homeowner, you might suffer because of price shopping around, because of going with the wrong company. And then, I think that's a big thing that customers should really keep in mind that it's not just I'm getting a car, but I'm getting a Ferrari and the coffee in the waiting room is free.
Hmm. Yeah. So, what would you say to people who are sort of price shopping right now? If they're looking to remodel, like, what's something they should be keeping in mind?
The budget is definitely to be kept in mind, right? I don't think that anyone should go in debt to chase their dream home, right? That's not what I'm saying whatsoever. But the amount of emotional pain and emotional toll you might have by saving 10% on your project, it's probably not worth it from what I've seen in the stories I've heard from the homeowners that we come in after.
What's you have any examples of that stories?
We're doing one right now where the homeowner hired a company in the fall to redo all their exterior moldings, paint them, patch them. They had some wood rot and everything. Job was really dragging on. Showed up, didn't show up, and then all of a sudden he just never came back. He had family problems. He said he needed to take a few days off. There's a death in the family. Okay, family first. I'm a family guy. He never came back. It was the winter that I met the homeowner. Going into February, he still hasn't even picked up his ladders there, right? Now, this contractor just so happened to be about half the price of me. But he used cheaper PVC moldings to patch it, or he didn't use PVC moldings at all, which he was supposed to use, AZEK, which is one of the premier brands. So those different things, they add up, and that's just an example of, a couple different areas, what happens when you start to go cheaper on the price of the contractor, because he can't afford to hire someone that gets paid 60 grand a year to do quality work. He has to pay the guys 30,000 or pay him cash on the side.
Yeah. So, another one thing you brought up was about like products or remodeling lasting generations. Can you
Yeah.
expound on that a little bit?
Yeah, my favorite projects are when I walk out the door and the family has a new emotional experience, right? Like it's really nice to say, "Oh, that wall looks pretty, you painted it blue." But it's like, Patrick, when I step into this room and I see this color, the base moldings are perfect, and I feel the warmth from the tile floor after the heated floor, I just feel relaxed. And honestly, I don't even want to leave my bathroom, but I got to get to work every single morning, right? And I love it. And at the end of the day, I take a bath, and it's phenomenal. Or maybe it's a kitchen, right? And it's like, you know, we cooked our first Thanksgiving here, and we spent the whole day in here just having fun and enjoying it. And we had a family over at the end of the day. And, maybe they're raising kids up. And those are the things that last generations, because that remodel, that new room, allowed for family bonding connection that they're going to be thinking about 25 years later. You know, they might not say, "Oh, like that stove was perfect in our kitchen," but they're going to say, "Hey, listen, remember that first Thanksgiving dinner in that kitchen? Like it was awesome." And that's kind of like my favorite, generational memory type of projects that we get to deliver.
Cool. So it's not necessarily like creating products that last a generation. It literally is like influencing generations.
Yeah, well, it's both. It really is both, because if you want to influence generations, you also have to build the best, and to do the best possible job, it will, like, my projects. Like, I aim for this to be here after 100 years, right? I work on a lot of houses that are over 100 years where we work, right? If I'm gonna remodel that house, I'm gonna put stuff in there and methods and procedures that it's gonna last another 100, another 200 years, right? And that's the way I think about it when I decide which products we're going to sell, the methods and everything, and the recommendations to the homeowners.
Where do you think that comes from, man? Because I personally like I've dealt with some pretty nice contractors in my day. Like some of them were just terrible. Don't get me wrong, and some of them were good and nice dudes. Uh, but like I don't know if I've ever met one that has that spirit of excellence. So where do you think that comes from, or like, or where does it not come from? How come people aren't that way anymore, or whatever?
Yeah, so I think the longevity look at is where how it's going to look like in 20, 30 years. Really comes back to the fact that, like, listen, guys, I'm young. If you see the video, I'm a young guy. I'm 27 years old. However, I was on construction sites when I was 5 and 6, and hearing stories from my father before I was born of him working on jobs, right? And then now, being in the industry for so long, I get to see this second life cycle of a homeowner doing remodeling. So 2 years ago, when I was working for my father, 3 years ago when we worked for my father, we actually were working on building the second house for a homeowner he built 25 years ago. So when you look at this from more than just 10 years and you look at this from 25 years, you really want to make sure that like you're doing something that isn't going to have to be ripped out in 5 years or 10 years because it's rotted out, right? Because the math, you know, from an investment standpoint, just doesn't make sense to redo it every 10 years if you could do something that's going to last 40 and 50. So
Yeah.
that excellence standpoint is also from a financial investment in your home. It's just a better product, right? I don't want to deliver inferior quality.
And for you as a business owner as well, seems to make sense, correct?
Yeah, I mean, some people might say, "Oh, well, you're going to get half the amount of business." So it's like, yeah, but my customers are going to be twice as happy, and that's all that really matters at the end of the day. So from a business perspective, and it's also like personal beliefs, right? Like I don't shop at Walmart because I don't want that quality.
Hmm. Yeah, and also like leads to referrals, and like you said, you mentioned your dad getting work 25 years down the road.
Yeah, if that first house was falling apart and had all these problems in it, or problems do come up, he never went back to fix it. Like it would never come full circle again.
Hmm. That's cool, man. No, I love all this. So, what is the like for you, for Patrick? What is the dream? What's the big vision?
Yeah, so the big vision for me right now, we do residential construction, right? Helping one home or family at a time, right? And my dream goal is to, deliver that emotional experience that we talked about earlier to hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of families. And the way we can do that is through value add and transforming existing like multifamily structures, whether it's, a few units and a bunch of buildings on one property, or developing new. So maybe it's a new single family, community. Maybe it's a multifamily community, right? So my ultimate goal is to be able to spread this vision that I have out of helping people deliver those experiences that they're going to remember for their lives on a grander scale. So development, real estate, those are what's on our horizons.
That's awesome, man. So, is there anything else you'd like to say? We're coming to the end of time here. I just want to make sure you got everything you want to talk about. Do you have anything else you want to mention?
No, I think that, like you said, anything you do in your life, I think that it should have a degree of excellence, and that making sure that wherever that excellence is headed, you kind of have a path on where you're shooting for in life. Whether that's, your construction project, right? Like, if you want to remodel your kitchen, what does the end result look like? What does it feel like, right? Starting with the end in mind, so that way when you're going to hire the contractor, you know exactly what you want. Say you have, your exams in the you're going back to school and you have your exams in the middle of the construction project, right? Well, you really got to have a strong contractor there so that way you can focus on the studying, right? So having that end in mind, or maybe it's like, hey, listen, I'm a stay at home, I'm a hands-on homeowner, I'm going to be there every single day. I can go with a cheaper contractor because honestly I want to do this myself. All those fit your needs with the end in mind.
Cool, man. Where can people find you?
Mr. Project Patrick on Instagram. On YouTube, we are Momentous Living. And then you can shoot me a friend request on Facebook if you want.
Awesome. Well, thank you for your time, Patrick.
Thank you so much, Cameron.